Did you all get the recording now in session? Great. Okay. So metadata and editor, I just kind of made up this little one. I entered split screen because I was going to explore that. Okay, I'm gonna save over here, save and release. And I have an error, so it's probably not going to really let me do it. However, there is this suppress from discovery under record actions, and perhaps that has been selected. The other thing, and someone perhaps more with more experience, so like okay, hold on, records, yes.
I wasn't logged on when the question was asked. What was the issue?
So Lynn can create a new bib in the metadata editor. She saves and releases, but then it is not showing up in Primo or also in Alma in the back end.
Is it not showing up, or Lynn is the issue that, like, what do you do with it from there? Like, how do you get the holdings on it, and how do you get the item record? And
well,
that
what
the
I've
issue?
done after I've saved and released it, I just search for it in Alma. I haven't bothered to search for it in Primo because I can't find it in Alma to do anything with it. You know, I can't find the bib record to add the holdings and items.
Are you, when you're doing your search in Alma, are you searching by all titles or physical titles or
Physical titles?
Okay, that's an issue. So if a bib record exists in Alma and it does not have a holdings record already attached to it, then it doesn't count as a physical title. It counts as all titles.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, and that was part of the workflow that I learned myself yesterday and this morning, is that you start with the new bib record, and then you have to create a holdings record from that to tell the to tell the system that it's at your library, right? Is that?
Yeah, and there is a way that you can create a holdings record like while you're still looking at the bib record in the metadata editor. So you don't
Well,
necessarily have to save and release first. You can, while you're still looking at the bib record, you can create a holdings record for it.
I now have 5 bib records called Test Record, Working with Templates by Lynn Robinson. So, yeah, because what I've been doing for original cataloging, like for 25 years, is I've been using it's some silly name, Mark Magician. It's now called Bestmark. And so you know, I want to be able to just, you know, use the tools that are available in Alma instead of using outside resources. So, wow. I mean, I can't believe that. So well, thank you.
So when you're doing original cataloging, what kinds of things are you doing original cataloging for? Or is it like equipment? Is it books that you bought where you couldn't find an OCLC record?
Books, videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you going to want to end up with WorldCat records for these things? Like, are you adding these records to WorldCat later, or
No.
you just need a local record?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think probably you want to be doing your cataloging in the metadata editor.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
did this when I was testing here this morning.
Yeah. What you'll probably want to do is, after you've created the bib record, before you save and release it, it might be easiest to create the holdings record while you're still in the metadata editor. And then where was I going with that? And you can also even create item records while you're still in the metadata editor. And then once you're all done, you release everything. So Carly, maybe we could like take a walk through like from step one of, let's get into the metadata editor. Let's use a template to create a bib record. And maybe let's go over, here's the important information that you should get in there. Here's how you can check what the fields and what the codes should be. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Would you like me to share my screen and you could like talk me through it, or would it be easier? Do you want to share your screen and talk us through what you're doing?
I think let's have you share your screen.
Okay. Okay, so I go to resources and
Well, and actually let's like back all the way out, and let's even just start with, how do you get to the metadata editor?
okay, hold on. Yeah, so resources, open metadata editor. And then there's these 3 tabs of records, templates, and the rules. And so if I want to make a new brief bib from a template,
Which
then
is
I would,
probably the easiest thing to do.
yeah,
And
so I go in and I go the Mark 21, and the shared should be institution level. The gray icons mean it's an ex libris created template, and blue means that it's a locally created template. The community tab is a bunch of shared ones from like all over the world. But okay, so I'm going to go into the shared and I'm going to do this new book one. And I happen to be at Renton because that's
and actually,
okay.
one kind of fiddly little point that I
Yes.
want to mention, because I always forget it. Go back into the templates tab.
Okay.
And right click on the book's default. And now select new record from templates.
Oh.
Because what I do a lot, because I forget, is I double click on the template and then I'm editing the template and I'm not actually creating a new bib record, I think is what's happened in the past.
I'm going to delete these other one. No, I don't want to release. How do I delete these?
Oh yeah, so like this is another weird little thing. Once the metadata editor has created some record for you to work on, the only way that you can delete it is to save it and then delete it. Like once it's in this kind of nebulous zone of it exists, but we haven't officially saved it,
You can't just,
you can't just delete it. Like that, it has to formally be saved. It has to have an MMS ID for you to be able to delete it.
okay,
The only
Well,
way
this
that
is- Doesn't releasing it kind of do the same thing if you haven't saved it?
can you release without saving though?
I
So here's this old
I
one.
have a memory that when I've tried to release without saving it, like it still
So-
shows up on that left sidebar.
So save. And then. Okay, so I just saved this. Do I need to save and release it to delete it?
Maybe. So now under record actions, can you delete it? There's not a delete option.
Nope.
Okay.
I've never had any issue with releasing, because it's still marked as new.
Okay.
And I've never had any like ghost records that stay in from just releasing it.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing that, Victoria.
Okay, we can address that, the delete thing perhaps later, but let's do this creating. So I right clicked on the template, said create new record from template, and now here I am in the editing pane.
So at this point, you want to, like, if you're not familiar with MARC fields and things like that, you'll want to be relying pretty heavily on the Library of Congress MARC format documentation, which
would be this one.
yeah, MARC format for bibliographic data, MARC format for holdings data. And also go if you go back to that metadata editor tab, Carly,
Mm-hmm.
you can also from within the metadata editor get to information about what that MARC field is supposed to be and what the codes are and what all the possible subfields are. That
Yeah,
kind of-
so I just clicked on the three little dots, did field information, and now we have the information for the LDR field. And it tells us the indicators and subfields. Okay.
And when you're creating your own MARC bib records in the metadata editor, you really want to pay attention to the leader field and the 008 field, because there are little codes in there that will affect how things show up in Primo. So like there's a little code hidden somewhere in one of those two fields that will tell you that something's a book, or it's a video recording, or it's an audio recording, or it's a remote electronic resource.
Yeah, so
And-
008 for different material types. Got like government publication. Got government publication here. Yeah, Cara Beth.
I think it's in the leader because the 008 is going to depend on what values you fill in the leader.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would do the leader first, and then work on the 008.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a really, really good point, Cara Beth, that
Yes,
there are codes in the leader that will affect
right.
what codes show up in the 008. So
Yeah,
do that
yeah,
first.
because I've changed values in the 008, and then I get a warning, hey, this is not correct.
Mhm.
Alma will tell you that. So do the leader first.
Mhm.
Okay, so shall we crowdsource some fun specifications here?
Harley, real quick, can you walk through the steps of how you got to this display? Because this is really important. Because the leader and the 008 are really hard to read unless you go into the form editor.
Yeah, so just the three little dots on the side give you the two options. The first that I was showing was that field information, which was the information with the like general information about Mark 21, but then open the form editor gives us the drop down on all the different parts of the field. So bibliographic level, what do we want to pick here? I read something about it like choosing collection for electronic resources for some reason, but I could be totally making that up.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm operating under the assumption that people are only going to be using this to create records for physical objects, like not e-resources. I'm operating under the assumption that if you're getting records for e-resources, you're getting them from someplace else. You're getting them from WorldCat Collection Manager, you're getting them from the community zone, you're getting them from the vendor. So for physical objects, really, you're going to be using either monograph or serial.
Okay.
Maybe integrating resource. Integrating resource is something that it gets used a lot in law libraries, where they would get these big binders full of like law codes and rules and things like that, and you would get updates to specific pages on a regular basis, and so you would take out the old pages and you would put in the new pages.
That sounds so neat. Okay, so we're gonna do a monograph and then indicator count. What is indicator
I just leave
count?
that alone.
Okay. Encoding level. Is this just leave it at full level?
I always put it at 4 just because I'm never sure of my abilities.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the encoding level it's something that doesn't necessarily matter unless you're sharing these records with WorldCat. It has really significant meaning when you're doing cataloging in WorldCat, or if you're doing any kind of shared NACO, SACO level cataloging, but for us, it doesn't have that much meaning.
Okay, and then length of field, number of characters in the length of field portion
That,
of a,
leave that alone.
okay. And entry map character position undefined,
No.
new, corrected, deleted. So we're doing a new one. We're not trying to somehow correct and then merge. Okay, type of control, we're not going to do anything archival. Descriptive cataloging form.
So this is, are you using the AACR2 rules or are you using RDA rules? If you're using RDA rules, then you select I for ISBD punctuation included.
Okay. And then length of starting character, we'll leave
Leave that
alone.
alone.
Yeah,
Yeah, leave that
yeah,
alone.
okay, sorry. Language material. Ah, okay. Oh, sorry, type of record. Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, so this is a really, really important field or code. And this code is going to determine what your options are in the 008.
got it. So, if we're, say it's like a binder from a governmental report, might we say mixed material?
No, mixed material means that it has things in a lot of different formats. So like if you have
A good old
if you have a
CD-ROM?
curriculum kit, yeah, like maybe a curriculum kit that has student workbooks, and maybe it has some like DVDs, or maybe it even has some like some puppets in it.
Okay.
Maybe.
So language material would be, this is mostly words on paper?
Yeah. Yeah, if
Okay.
you've got a book, it's language material. And
All right.
if you have this language material code in your bib record, then in Alma and in Primo, the material type is going to show up as book.
So if you want it to show up as a different material type, how would you do
Then you
that?
would pick one of the other codes. So for example, if Lynn had a DVD in hand, then she would set this code to be, what is it? Is it projected medium?
Uh,
Carbeth, do you remember?
Hi, this is Carbeth. For a DVD would be projected medium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, if we change this to serial, does the type of no, the type of record doesn't change. Okay.
Mhm.
I was curious. Okay, so we're going to assume we have words on pages.
Mhm. And
Okay.
the most frequent ones you're going to use are going to be language material for books, projected medium for video recordings. There's one for sound recordings, either non-musical sound recording or musical sound recording. And then another really common one is three-dimensional artifact or naturally occurring, and I don't know what the last one is.
Object.
But that's what you'd use for equipment if you don't want your equipment showing up as a book.
Yes.
So laptops, headphones,
Mhm.
etc. Yeah.
Yep, those are all three-dimensional artifacts.
Well, and Whitworth had a very large scores library, so I'm assuming that like we used notated music a lot, or manuscript notated music.
Notated music would be like if you've had it, if it's come from a printer. Manuscript, that would be like JS Box own handwritten scores.
Ooh, fancy.
So for us, probably not.
Okay. Okay, character coding scheme. Are we going Mark 8 or Unicode?
Always use Unicode because Unicode allows it for diacritics.
Okay. Base address, leave alone.
Yep.
Multi-resource record level. So is this part of something or not applicable?
It's not applicable. If you're just doing like a standalone book, standalone DVD, it's not specified or not applicable.
All right, and then length of implementation defined portion of a directory entry
Yeah.
has like one default thing, so.
Yeah.
Leave it
all of
alone.
those length things, leave alone. The system calculates that based on what you put in the record.
Okay. So we've now set our leader as if we were going to be cataloging a standalone book-like item. So now we're in the 008. Open the form editor. Okay, date entered on file.
Leave that alone.
Okay. And date 2 also
Yeah.
leave alone. All right, we're going
So-
to assume,
Actually,
That-
hold on, that date 2,
Okay.
that's related to a set of 3 fields. So there's type of date, date 1, and date 2. And those 3
Ah,
things kind of
date
go
1.
together.
oh, this goes across, not down in 3
Yeah,
columns. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so type of date, publication status.
And
So,
the most frequent ones you're going to use here are single date, publication date, and copyright date. So that you use that in situations where, like, if you look at the back page of the book, you might see, oh, this was published in 2020, and it also has a copyright date of 1983.
okay.
And then multiple dates is what you use when you have like either a serial, like a journal publication, or maybe you have a multi-volume set that's being published over many, many years.
And detailed date, or I'm guessing just further.
I've never used that. Cara Beth, have you ever used that?
I have issues with my mute button. I have never personally used it. I've seen it in records. So detailed date would be like the year and the month and the day. And I mean, I don't use it if I'm doing original cataloging. I'm just gonna put it, I mean, most books, I don't know what the detailed date is.
I could see potentially if someone were doing original cataloging on a local zine collection and, like really wanted to get in there with like, these were zines that were all created at the same time or day or something like that.
It's so rare that I mean, I've seen it on maybe a handful of records in 20 years of cataloging. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it. Oh, and one more I want to point out. So I said the T, that's what you use in a situation where you have both a publication date and a copyright date, and those two may be the same. There's also P, and that gets used really heavily with DVDs and CDs.
Right.
Where, like, and especially with films for the humanities and sciences, where they're basically republishing something that was recorded years ago. So you'll need the year that the thing was first released,
Mhm.
and then the year that the copy in your hand was made.
Okay.
Or like with a DVD, you'll have the year that the movie was released, and then the year that the DVD was produced.
Right.
Was
So movie was
Accurate.
made, production session, and DVD was created, date of distribution.
yeah.
Got it. We will keep this one simple.
Mhm.
And we will say that the date is 2022. And then probably because we've set date 1 as the single known date.
Yeah.
Date two
Oh, and
is, yeah,
So something else to point out, this date in the 008 field, that shows up in certain places in the Alma display and the Primo display. And in some cases, it will override any dates that you have in further down in the 260, which is the publication information. So, so if you're looking through Alma and you see a date up at the top, like on the same line as the title, and you're like, but that's not the publication date. It
Mm.
may be that
a date got set incorrectly in the
in
008.
the 008, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, place of publication. This looks pretty extensive, and you would
Yes,
just,
it's code for, there's US states, countries, it's, there's probably a list somewhere of what the codes mean, but
I'll drop that link in the chat. It's a list that's created and maintained by the Library of Congress, and it's
Right.
online.
all right, cool. Illustrations. So we have illustrations 18, 19, 20, 21. So
there's 4 of those fields where you can set what kind of illustrative materials are included in well, in this case, it's a book, but that's also dependent on what you coded in the leader field. So
yeah, because if you coded cartographic, you're probably getting different map terms.
exactly. Or a CD or DVD, you're not going to get these codes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. We're going to pretend there's no illustrations. Okay. Target audience. I'm guessing typically for the community colleges, unless you're like, you're doing some curriculum materials, you're probably all using general.
I've actually never used it.
Yeah, I don't
Just
set
not specified.
if I'm cataloging original stuff, I just ignore it. I've seen it used in stuff that I've excuse me. I've seen it used in stuff that I've pulled from OCLC, but I don't really change it. I pretty much ignore it.
Okay. Okay. Form of item. So this one looks like it could be extremely important if you've got something that's large print or braille that you want to make sure it's found for accessibility reasons. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Okay, nature of contents, and we have multiple of these.
Yep.
And so for
so
local,
what I've seen often is it has a bibliography. It might be a handbook. What else? Oh, sometimes if it's what am I thinking? Like a biography of a musician, it might have a discography, stuff like that.
so you can choose multiple of these. I have a question. So if you choose multiple, then did they remain in like display order of this 24, 25, 26, 27, or is display order maybe set somewhere else totally? Like, anyone know how these translate to Primo?
I don't, and I'm honestly not even sure if they're used by Primo.
I don't think much of it shows.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Okay, government publication. So, if you're doing some kind of state report, local, so maybe county, this one would probably be important. Conference publications, yes or no? Ooh, German word.
Yeah, so Festschrift, I don't
Oh,
expect us to have
that's-
many Festschrift. It's something that's written in honor of somebody else.
Oh, interesting.
It-
Okay,
Get them a lot in history.
okay. And then whether or not it has an index. Okay, so this one may also be important for other field options,
Mhm.
maybe?
Yep.
So we're gonna say we are cataloging nonfiction
Mhm.
and leave it at that. It is not going to be a biography. It is going to be in English.
Yeah, and this is a pretty important field.
Right.
And this field will affect, it shows up as a facet in Primo.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and so if you have, for example, a laptop, it's not in the English language. There is actually a code for things that have
Oh,
no language content whatsoever. And it's like way, way, way down at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's something like XXX.
no linguistic content.
Yeah.
ZXX. All right, interesting.
That would be good for like picture books without words.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna set it back to English. Wow, this is very cool. Okay,
And,
modified
modified-
record.
Yeah, so that only gets used when you have something in a non-Roman alphabet. So if you have something in Russian, if you have something in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, in those cases, you always select O.
Okay, and then cataloging source.
Is always other.
Okay,
for us.
and then, okay, so we've got this one. And now we would move into our other fields and we could look at field information. Okay, so this is the ISBN and 35 is system control number.
This would be where you would put an OCLC number, but if like you're just doing this for your own use, you don't have an OCLC number, so you can just delete this field.
And if we were
and it would
going to
be
delete
possible-
this field, then would we, and you mean like totally delete it, not just
yeah,
leave it
just
empty?
completely, yeah, and you would
So
do that through
then-
editing actions.
Remove field
Mhm.
with the proper field selected.
Right.
Okay, so.
And if you were doing this a lot and you found that you were always, always, always deleting that field, you could create a completely separate template that just didn't have that field in it.
Okay, and perhaps 40 would be another one you'd delete since the cataloging source might be
Right, yeah.
something you're
I-
always.
So I've got some templates that I created, and in the 040 field, I think it's the National Union Catalog code for Grays Harbor College is WAAG. So I use that.
Oh, and
Mean anything to anybody who was looking at our catalog record? I don't know, but that's what that has been my practice.
Carly, scroll up a little bit. do you see how there's MARC code list for organizations?
Mm,
If you click on that, you could find out what the MARC code is for your library.
And I've
Ooh.
always put our code in there, and it helps when we're deleting withdrawing records, and if it can't be found in OCLC, you know, we can identify it as original cataloging by that 040, and so therefore it's not going to have holdings in OCLC.
Okay,
Good point, Lynn.
okay. So 41 language code. So would this override or like enhance what we set in 008?
Yeah, it's kind of an add-on. It gets used when you have a translation of something, or it gets used a lot with like CDs and DVDs. So like a classical music CD might have a pamphlet with notes in French, English, and German. Or a
Mm.
DVD might have, you'll have the spoken language is English. It's got English language subtitles, but maybe it also has Spanish language subtitles, or maybe there's a Spanish language audio track. You would track that in here.
Okay. All right, 50. Okay, LC call number. Where do we find LC call numbers for local cataloging?
So you either need to have a subscription to Library of Congress Classification Web, or the Library of Congress does have downloadable PDFs of its classification. Like I personally feel like if you're going to be doing cataloging, then you should have a subscription to Classification Web. But but there are other options. There are the downloadable PDFs.
Yes, and I believe we have, hold on. Oh, it doesn't, I'm trying to
And
move.
every once in a while, you can find the LC call number inside the book.
Oh yeah, if there's like a cataloging in publication,
Yes.
it's usually on the back of the title page.
So here's the PDFs. I always really liked these for weeding, just interest. Okay, so then basically you work your way through these default fields in the template. And then if you need
and,
to delete one, we know how to, under editing actions, do a remove, and we could also add one if we needed one. How is adding a subfield different from expanding the template? Does anyone know?
Well, so there's adding a field and there's adding a subfield. So the field is when you need to add a whole line. A subfield is when you need to add a special section within a line.
Okay. And enhancing or expanding the record?
I
I
honestly
think-
don't know what those
I
two.
think the adding the subfield adds the little bar, or is in our Alma instance, it's $2
Yeah, so this
think
just
that's what it
adds
does.
the double dagger. So
And
that
then
you can
you
have,
have to add the code
yeah,
for
so for
what that will be.
100. If some of the subfield indicators are
And the N,
this.
so the NR means it's not repeatable. You can only use that subfield once. R means you can repeat that subfield multiple times within the field.
So that you can add additional versus one type of a thing. Okay, cool. So you work your way down. I want to hold on. I want to see what enhance the record goes to. Oh, so this does normalization, which could lead to all kinds of ness, but it's also where you've got suppress the record from discovery, which you may want to do in certain cases. We're gonna cancel and then expand the template allows you to add additional or add all from an additional template. So if you wanted to like, we'll see what in my test one I don't have in this one. What does it add? Looks, oh, it added 035 back in. Neat. Okay, so we say we've finished editing. So now we would save and release record, or is there some more steps that we need to be aware of?
Well, so I don't know if you can really save it without a 245 field. I think Alma has kind of this like rule in the background that says all bib records have to have a title.
Okay,
No matter what, they have to have a title.
so we do this, and then I wrote my title. This is the title of my thesis statement, my thesis from my first master's. Okay, it has a title.
And then from here, you can either save and release it, or you can add the holding from here.
Okay, so how do we add holding? Do we go add?
Add inventory.
Yep.
And
Oh, you know what? I think we can't add the holdings until we've saved it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so save. Oh, let's see what this says. Matched records exist in the catalog. Do you want to view them before saving?
Say no.
Okay. Is that because I have these two goofy ones over here?
Maybe.
Okay. So now we can add a holding. And it
Expand the 852, expand the 852.
aha. So it auto populates the major control fields and then allows you to specify your own location.
Don't put anything in A. The fields that you're most interested in are B and C. So the sublocation or collection, that's the library, and then the shelving location is the physical location within the library.
So if you were doing laptops, you'd probably, I'm assuming this is what this tech one is.
Mhm.
And then you'd have, let's see what, so they don't have multiple shelving locations within tech. They do at the library. And then if you have a call number, you can put the call number in here. Okay. And how does then this call number interact? Because I feel like we put,
I think there's We have it so that when you save the holding, it automatically brings the
If we'd entered it in the,
in the bib, then it brings it over to the holding in
Right.
H and I.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, we do the same.
excellent. So you create your holding and it's, of course, gonna want something. Let's see if it'll let us. It's not gonna let me save without a lot more information, I'm guessing. Like a call number.
No, it should let you save without a call number, I think.
What error? Let's see. Location is a mandatory field. So should
Huh.
that have come in from the bib and we didn't fill it out?
That's weird, because I don't think we ever have anything in that location subfield.
Anyone else have an idea on this one?
Let's open up an existing holdings record and see what it has.
Okay. How do I do that?
Oh, it's possible it's not letting you save because of the indicators in the 852. And those you don't do in the form editor.
It looks like,
Went away.
What was that?
Oh, that warning is not down at the bottom anymore.
yeah, it looks like
Oh,
by setting sublocation and shelving location, it like did something and it did just fine. So, okay, it auto saved. And then we can save and release and it will release all of these.
Hold on,
Um,
hold on.
Do we need
If
to
you
add
want-
mine?
If you want to, I mean, then from here, you can go right to the item record
yep.
by,
So put a barcode on it. If you're using acquisitions, you can choose a PO line. Is this material type what Primo is gonna pull? Well, will this one override a more general one in that bib?
So I'm trying to think.
I
So
don't
some of the
think
codes
so.
in the bib record show up as facets in Primo.
Mhm.
Think I can't remember if the material type shows up as a facet in Primo, but the material type gets used a lot in loan rules.
Right, item
it-
policy stuff.
Yeah, and you can also use it in rules that put limits on like the number of laptops you can check out or that kind of thing.
Got it. And if you're, is inventory information something that you're probably only entering if you're using Alma for acquisitions as well?
So inventory you can use when you're doing an inventory. We use it. Sorry. So when we have our laptops or our Chromebooks, we have a library barcode, and then sometimes they also have like a
Like a
you know,
college,
a special inventory number, right? Like, IT number 1357 kind of thing. And we'll sometimes put our IT tag in the inventory number.
got it.
But I think it's useful more frequently for like special collections libraries.
Hmm. That would have like, well, I don't know, but
The
interesting.
inventory price, that can be used with replacement costs. It's like if you have something in the inventory price field, that's going to override that's going to override the default replacement cost if something goes lost.
Okay. And this would be the default replacement cost up here.
Oh, or maybe
Maybe
Ooh.
this is the,
Oh shoot, I walked that back. Walk that back. They've added
Maybe
a whole bunch of
replacement
stuff
cost
since
would
2017,
override.
and it's hard to keep track of.
replacement cost might override inventory price.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then also if you're adding something and the permanent location is going to be in reference, but you're adding it because, you know, specifically faculty has asked for it to be on course reserves, then you can do this temporary location. And then we would save. We could also save and edit. I am, however, going to cancel. And then you would have the bib attached to the holding, attached to the item, and it should then theoretically show up everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. And having the holdings record will now let you find this thing if you do a physical title search as well as an all titles search.
Okay. All titles, holdings, items. Okay. I would welcome any questions, although we are over time, so it may be that our fabulous experts need to get elsewhere. Okay, so we've got, yeah, because Lynn had to already head out. So any quick questions or things to add, Cara, Beth, or Kim, or Victoria?
I don't have anything.
No, but this was extremely useful and I'm so grateful it's been recorded so I can refer back to it. Thank you. Yeah,
Oh, you're very welcome. And I'm gonna like shorten up this end bit.
good.
And I'll also try and do some sections and an outline in the agenda. And really like all of the mega gratitude needs to go to Kirsty because she helped me troubleshoot the entire format for this meeting and now has taught us all great things.
We're all in this together.
Good job, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
thank you, thank you. And I will see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.